All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back. I know it's been about a week or so since I've been on, but hey, man, been busy. I'm gonna do a sound check here, make sure everything's all right. Looks like I'm live, so let's see. Sound check here. All right, looks like the sound is good, the audio is good, man. I'm gonna wait for a few people to come on, man. Hopefully, some of you guys come on. G Funk always coming on at an odd time, man. I know, man. I know. You know what I'm saying? But I got a interesting topic here I want to talk about with some of you guys. Um, it's talking about. You can see the title of the video where it says, "I love all styles of boxing," and that is true today, but it wasn't always true with me. You know what I'm saying? I was one of those guys when I was a young fight fan, early teens, maybe even into the late teens. Um, I favored certain styles of fighters, and that's what I stuck with. And I'll be honest, man, doing that, you know, I predicted a lot of fights wrong, man, by doing that, by favoring just a certain style. I would pick. People ask me who I think was going to win this fight between these two guys, and it would always be one certain style. So, you know, I mean, I should be honest, man. I got a lot of fights wrong back then when I was predicting fights that way. So I made myself a promise, and I promised uh, my subscribers this when I first started this channel back in like 2010, 2011, something like that. Um, I said that I wasn't going to be a fan of any fighter, and that I'm going to try my best to not be biased when it comes to this boxing stuff. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. I know some of you might disagree because G Funk is honest about certain fighters, and you know people don't like that. So I could be called biased, I could be called a hater, and things like that. But I try to keep things as honest and fair as possible, when possible. I guess sometimes things come out, and you know but yeah, man, I've learned to appreciate all styles of boxing, and I think it really came from me actually putting on a pair of gloves and punching with somebody. I think that that's where it came from. Before I was actually doing that was when I had my favorite. I would favor certain styles in the ring, and I would look for any way to score a round for somebody just because they fought that way through the round or through the whole fight. You know, and I feel like a lot of that still goes on today on YouTube with a lot of people. I see it often whenever there's like a prediction video, and I look into the live chat, and then I see people going back and forth about, this guy, all he does is run, he's scared. And then, on the other end, we'll have somebody saying something like, well, this guy, he's he's a dumb fighter. He just comes forward and doesn't care if he gets hit, But the thing is this, man. I appreciate the sweet science, man, and in my opinion, now this is just my opinion when it comes to that term, is you don't have to be, and I think that this is what's really happened with that term when people hear the sweet science term. They think of it as like someone who's gonna go in there and box and stay on the back foot, and that is, I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a part of it. But I think that when you see guys who have mastered the art of coming forward and cutting off the ring, using the jab to get to somebody who is moving, um, you know going to the body, timing somebody. All of that is the sweet science to me. If you can master that too, and you can be, and you become great at that, then to me, you're a master boxer. You're a master in there. Same thing with the guy who's going to fight off the back foot. If you could avoid shots, use your fast feet to get in and out. Quick hands to hit and counter, make guys miss, make them pay. That's beautiful to me also. Um, Now there are some times where I do agree that some guys have very ugly, awkward styles. Mainly Vladimir Klitschko. That's a guy who I was never impressed by, and I could not stand watching this guy fight. It was like the worst. I mean, I'd rather watch paint dry on a wall than watch a Klitschko fight. And even though I say that, I watched a lot of his fights because I was hoping somebody would just knock that some bitch out and just beat him, and then I won't have to see him anymore. Uh, but yeah, myself and my fellow YouTuber 916 Chris, rest in peace. Um, we both had a hatred for that style. So I'm just gonna throw that out there, even though the title says I love all styles. That's a style that I truly disliked, and I don't want to see it again. you know, I hope nobody ever uses that style again. We did see Tyson Fury do that a little bit with Deontay Wilder in the rematch, but I don't think it was as bad as what Klitschko used to do. I mean, that guy would just hit me, jab, grab, jab, lean on your back, jab, right hand, grab you again. I mean, it was just terrible, terrible to watch, man. So that's the one style right there that I just don't like it, man. I don't like it, and to me, it shouldn't be allowed, man. You shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't let a guy grab somebody that much. That was always another big problem I had with that because clinching actually is against the rules of boxing. So when you have a guy who literally made a career off of clinching, because he didn't want to get hit, um, I think that really he got away with a lot of that throughout his career, man. I think that these referees, man, somebody should have took a point or multiple points throughout fights that he had. I mean, there were some fights that he was worse. I mean, worse than other ones. Like I recall, there's another guy. I'm not very good with the Russian names, the European names, so I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but I believe his name was Ibragimov or something like that. Um, Man, that fight was terrible. And to me, the fight that he had with Vladimir Klitschko versus um, Povetkin, Alexander Povetkin, man, that was a hug fest. And man, that fight just pissed me off, man. Like I just couldn't stand seeing that. So I'm gonna put that out there. I know it says all styles in there, but to me, that it shouldn't even be a style. I think that that kind of excessive holding and clinching shouldn't be allowed in boxing, man. That's just, I mean, that's just my opinion on it, man. Now, I understand in some situations, you're trained to hold and clinch guys. You get hit, you get hurt, you want to hold on, try to save time so you can recover. That's cool, man. But this guy would just do it just to do it, like hit a guy with a hard flush jab right hand and then clinch, instead of using your footwork to avoid a punch or keep your hands up or slip the shot. This guy would rather grab you. And I was just not a fan of it. I was not a fan of that style. I thought it was ugly, and I just don't think it should be allowed. Should be done in boxing, man. I don't. So that's the one there that I want to get out of the way. But I see a few people here, man. Who we got in the house, man? Y'all leave a comment. Let me know who's here because I got a surprise for some of you guys, man. I'm waiting on some people to show up here. So yeah, I'm gonna just continue to roll here on this topic, man. But what do you guys think, man? What do you think of Klitschko style? Did anybody actually like seeing that? Uh, you know, I hope not. I mean, I know that over there in Europe, he had a big fan base, and there was a lot of people that watched him on TV when he fought. But man, it was just for me. It was bad. It was bad to watch. But um, I like I said, I started my channel, and I didn't want to be biased towards a certain style, certain fighter, anything like that. No, Paul is here. What's up, bro? My man. You're one of the guys I'm looking for, man. If I could get somebody else on here, I'll turn this camera on. All right. But thanks for joining me, man. No, Paul, I want to ask you, man, since you're here, were you a fan of that Klitschko style, man? And do you agree with the title? Do you love all styles? You know? G Funk loves all styles except for Klitschko. And like I said, I don't think that Klitschko, I don't think that style should have been allowed. I don't think he should have been allowed to hold that much, as much as he did, Hold and clinch. I don't think that should have been allowed, man. I think honestly, I really think he won a lot of fights just by wearing guys out, but just laying on them, laying on the top of them and letting his weight sit on their back, and like then he's pounding away at them, and it was bad, man. But I know there's a lot of you guys that are subscribed to me that don't like the outboxer, the outboxing style, the guy who's gonna get on the toes, move around the ring, utilize the ring, the size of the ring, and you know, trying to slip punches and land counter shots. Um, that's a style that I know a lot of guys on here don't appreciate. But I do, man. I think I like it, man. I really do. Let's see here what you got to say. No, Paul says, nah, bro. I literally busted my brand new TV with the remote when Klitschko fought. Wow. Yeah, man. I would just turn the channel before I do something like that. But I understand your frustration for sure, man. For sure. Um, but let me just go ahead and get this out, man. Since you're here, no, Paul. All right, I'm gonna do this for you, brother. Just because I love you, man. All right. Check this out. What do you think, man? What do you think? Here, let me stand up so you can see the rest of it. You see that? G Funk is a man of his word, man. I keep my word, and I got it on for you guys, man. What do you think? Hopefully, Chicano Prophet makes his way over here and hangs out with us today, and he can check out the shirt too. I know 90 was it 92 AKU? I haven't seen that dude in a while, man, but hopefully he's all right, but hopefully he comes across this video and sees the shirt. You know what I'm saying? But it came in today, man. It came in. What does he say? What size is that? This is a 2X, man. Let me show you the back. Hold on. Let you know it's an official Canelo t-shirt. You see that? I'm sure you can see that, right? Yeah. And you know what happened? Check this out, man. When I got it, there's a tag on it. So, I went to pull the tag off in the back, and the damn tag, the plastic thing, like literally ripped the top of this shirt, man. I'm like, what the hell? Your boy sending out some cheap shit, man. Some cheap material, bro. Man. Better get on it, man. Tell him, man, he's making all that money. He got that big DAZN deal. Like, man, put out some thicker t-shirts, bro. What's up with that? But yeah, man, I think that I'll just to get back on the topic of the video. I think that we should try to do away with this whole running this term that people like to use in boxing. Now I know some of you might come on here and say, well, you complained about the way that Joshua fought against Andy Ruiz. That's not true. Um, I just said that I didn't agree with the term masterclass that was going around, and I still don't agree with that. I don't think that it was a masterclass of boxing by um, Joshua. I did score the fight for him, so it's not like I was being dishonest about who won the fight. I think it was a clear win for Joshua. Um, but I just don't think it was that, oh, he ran away with it and, it was a master class. Like, I didn't see that at all, man. I didn't see a master class, but I didn't call it running either. You know, I think that if, as boxing fans, like, you can't say running, like, this is my opinion. Like I said, I'm not the end all be all here when it comes to boxing, but I just think that if we're going to be, hardcore fans, that we have a responsibility, especially when it comes to the casuals, man, because there's a lot of casuals out there that like to watch boxing. And, when they hear us hardcore say running, of course, they're going to say the same thing, man. So I don't think that that's something that should be used, man. I will. You won't hear me say that on this channel, that guys run in the ring. Um, Some guys like to use it when it's convenient. Certain fighters will, move around the ring and, outbox a guy, the guy that they want to win, their favorite fighter. And they'll use it then, but then if their fighter uses it, then they're, oh my God, that was beautiful, beautiful movement. And, so, that's just crazy, man. That's crazy to me. But, and the same thing with the style of the guy who comes forward. Just because a guy just doesn't want to move around the ring the way that an outboxer would, that doesn't mean that he's a bum, that he's a bad fighter, that he's a dumb fighter. Like, I see these things often, man, here on YouTube when guys are doing prediction videos, and when they talk about fights, like, oh, this guy, all he does is run, bro. Or I mean, he's just dumb. He just comes forward, and he's not smart. And I'm telling you guys, if you ever been in the ring with somebody who moves around a lot, like some fighters do, it's difficult to stop those guys from doing that. I was always, every time I put on the gloves with somebody and we sparred, they were always, they always had the faster feet, So, I had to figure out a way to, utilize my movement and be more efficient with my movement to stop them from going wherever they were going, And, that takes brains to do. That takes brains to do that. No dumb fighter can do that, can cut off the ring on a guy who's good at moving around the ring. That takes intelligence too. That's the sweet science too. So, I wish that we would just do away with these terms, man. I don't like it. I really don't like it, and I think that it's something that I think a lot of us are better than. Um, I hate to go back and talk about this fight because we talk about it often, but there was a guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but there was a guy who was a big hardcore Canelo fan. He had a channel on here, and when Erislandy Lara fought him, Canelo, that's the first thing out of his mouth was, man, all he did was run. Lara just ran all night. He's just running all night long. Let's just call it what it is. It's running. And it really came to it shocked me to hear this guy say that, because, like, when I hear him talk about other fighters other than Canelo, he's pretty balanced. He's pretty, he's pretty fair, but and he's a pretty intelligent fight fan. Like, for the most part, I agreed with a lot of the things that he was saying, but when it comes to, his favorite fighter and, he didn't like the style, then it's a problem. So I just remember leaving a comment on that video and I was like, come on, bro. Like you're better than this, man. You're better than running. Like why would you say that? Um, and then he just left me a comment back like, oh, well, come on, bro, let's just call it for what it is. It's running. Okay. All right, man. And that's when I stopped really taking this guy serious because then I knew he was just kind of playing towards an audience. He was just, going with his narrative that he had been pushing. And again, I think that when you favor certain styles, that I think it does make you biased, man. It makes you biased towards certain things, man. Certain fighters, certain well, the way that you score rounds, the way that you score fights. You know, I honestly I try not to look at it that way, man. I really do. I know some of you might not believe, but hey, that's the way I roll, man. Let's see, we got a few comments here. No Paul says, "What's your opinion of fighters avoiding that style of fighters? Because I'm sure some save themselves the trouble of chasing someone down." Okay, so you're saying that what's my opinion of fighters avoiding that style of fighters? You mean guys that say I don't want to fight this guy because I think he's a bad matchup? Is that what you're saying, no, Paul? I think that's what you're saying, right? Give me some clarification on that. E. Woodson, what's up, bro? Thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate it. Kenneth Johnson, also, man. What's up? You guys see the T-shirt, man? Look, hey, I said it. I said it here on this channel. I said it on D Styles' channel, man. I said that if Canelo beats Kovalev, that I would buy a Canelo T-shirt and wear the T-shirt. So it's here, baby. I got it on, man. He says, fighting like Billy Joe Saunders. You mean like moving around the ring? What about that? Like I don't have a problem with the way um, Billy Joe Sanders fights, or Saunders, I just say Sanders. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, man. I think that he's developed a style that works for him. I mean, he's a pretty successful fighter. I mean, he's making a lot of money doing what he's doing. He hasn't lost a fight. Um, I don't have a problem with it, man. Are you saying that Billy Joe's avoiding fighters? Or let me go back and read this comment again. What's your opinion on of fighters that of fighters avoiding that style of fighters? Because I'm sure some save themselves the trouble of chasing someone down. I mean, here's the thing, man. If you're gonna be a world class fighter, you're gonna have to adapt to certain things in the ring. You're gonna have to make adjustments in the ring, not just in training. I mean, training, you train, obviously you got to look at who you're fighting and know, okay, this guy, he likes to move around the ring. So now we got to work on, trying to anticipate his movements and make sure that we get there before he does to stop him from moving. And then we could, let our hands go. But then again, this guy might add a new wrinkle during the fight. So then you're gonna have to add a new wrinkle during the fight, So I think any fighters that make it to, this level of the game are intelligent fighters, man. Regardless of if you like the style or not, you know. Um, I've always, like I said, I'm just gonna flat out say it, guys. When I was younger, I liked the guys that would stand, right there and fight and look for the knockout. That's why I was a Chavez fan when I was a kid. I grew up. I was a Julio Cesar Chavez fan, and that was my favorite fighter. So I liked his style. And if a guy didn't fight that way, then I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, as I got older, I learned that you can't go into fights that way because you're just looking for a way to score the fight for the guy that you want. You're gonna favor that style and you're gonna look for it in the ring. And you're like, well, this guy came forward the whole round, so he won the round. he won the round. I mean, I just can't do that, man. E. Wilson says it takes skill to cut off the ring against someone. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that, man. It takes a lot of skill, man, and intelligence to do that. And that's why only certain guys who have that style make it to this level, you know? There's some guys who they put in there that these guys have explosive power. They're knocking guys out. They become a knockout sensation. But as soon as they get in there with someone that shows them some movement, they can't cut off the ring, and guess what? They lose every round. you know, I mean, we've seen this happen a lot. For me, I think one of the best examples of a guy not being able to cut off the ring on someone that moves, and they should have known this from the gate and should have been working on it in the gym leading up to that fight, is Jeff Lacey versus Joe Calzaghe, man. And that was a huge disappointment to me, man. In my opinion, that was a huge disappointment. You could just see that they didn't do their homework. They didn't work on the things that they needed to work on to put him in the right position to win that fight, man. I wanted Jeff Lacey to win that fight, man. I was very disappointed in him, you know. He was. I always appreciated Marquez counterpunching over Pacquiao's pressure. Same with me, man. Same with me. I mean, Pacquiao. Everybody knows the guy. He makes a lot of mistakes, but you know, he's able to. He's tough enough to take punches, and he's fast enough to land his shots on guys and get his shots there first. And I'm not hating on Pacquiao. I think he's an all-time great too, but I appreciated Marquez's style definitely over his. My brother, Raw Boxing TV. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Just here talking with the family. We're talking about different styles of boxing and stuff like that. Since you're here, Raw Boxing, let's talk about that Cuban school style. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't says that fight was classic. I still watch the Calzaghe, like, man, bro, that was disappointing, man. That was very disappointing. I got you. A-Rod 83 Rod is here. What's up, man? Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. But yeah, man, let's I want to talk about, since my boy Raw Boxing is here. I want to talk about the Escuela Cubana, the Cuban school of boxing, man. Man, I think that if you're a hardcore boxing fan, man, how could you not like the Cuban school of boxing, man? I just don't know how anybody that's a hardcore boxing fan cannot like that style. It's such a beautiful, classic style of fighting, man. And it's really their own unique way, I think that's what I really like about it, man. These guys, they spend a lot of time in the amateurs down there. And the schools that they have in there, man, those guys, all they do is eat, sleep, and drink boxing, and but the way that they train, and you can just see, like, because they're so used to fighting in those amateur tournaments, the world championships and the Olympics and the Pan American games. When you see those guys make the transition, they come over here and they become professionals. These guys land some of the cleanest punches that you'll ever see, and that's because, coming up in that amateur, the amateurs, the way they competing in these heavy duty amateur tournaments, they have to be able to make sure to land those shots perfectly on their opponents so the judges see it. Those shots got to land, boom, right on the money so that they can get credit for it, and you see it show up here, man. I think it's one of the most beautiful styles in boxing, man. I really like it. I'm going to read some of these comments here. Let's see. We got, used to be good, man, but they are lacking lately. Let's see. Yeah, that was Lacey used to use his head as a target man. Dude, that was so disappointing, man. I really wanted him to beat Calzaghe that night, man. Hey, no, it was the initial bet. I don't know if you've seen it, man, but on D Style show and here, I said that if Canelo beats Kovalev, that I would buy the Canelo shirt and I would wear it, on the show. So here it is. Rob Boxer says they come to the U.S. and lose all disciplines. At that point, all good things are out the window. Man, it seems like that. But lately we've got quite a few, you know, Cuban guys who stick to it, man. Like, I mean, obviously we see Rigondale. He's been pretty disciplined since he's been here. Erislandy Lara. I mean, I know you had said some things about Gamboa, how he goes crazy when he goes back to Cuba and stuff like that. But yeah, that's unfortunate, man. It is, and it happens to a lot of other guys too, man. Like I look at Andy Ruiz, man. The guy finally got paid and won the belt, and he decided to eat tacos instead of fucking train. Kenny Johnson says, "I love the Cuban style of boxing." I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you. Good stuff, E. Woodson. You subscribe to the brother Raw Boxing, and that goes to everybody else here, man. If you're not subscribed to Raw Boxing TV, make sure you go over there and subscribe, man. As soon as this video is over. Boxing Dialogue is here. What's up, man? Says Cuban style can be exciting with the right opponent. Yeah, I mean, I mean, personally, I don't need the fight to be a slugfest for it to be entertaining, at least for me. If it's a good chess match, I think that's entertaining too, man. Rob Bob says, call me in about an hour or so. I can include you on my show. And I'll have calling on my show. I'm about to. Oh, okay. No sweat, man. I can join you maybe for a little bit. I'm gonna be on D Style show tonight at 7. So yeah, I'll hit you up, man, and we'll see what's up. Stormy B, man, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate it. You see, I had to come through with the bet. I lost the bet. I said I would buy the Canelo T-shirt if he beat Kovalev. So I came through. Hey, good stuff, Kenneth Johnson. Good stuff, man. Everybody else say salute to Stormy B, man. That's right, man. Say salute to the OG, Stormy B, man. And if you ain't subscribed to him, but I'm sure you guys are, everybody that's here. But if you're not, make sure you shoot over there and subscribe. But to get back with what I was saying about how fights don't have to be like brawls or wars for me to be exciting to me. One fight that I really, really, really enjoyed that wasn't a slugfest in the last 10 years. I'm sure there's more, but there's one that stands out for me at least. And that was Mayweather versus Cotto. To me, that was a really good fight, man. I thought both guys came in good shape. Both guys came with a good game plan against one another. And I think that it showed in the ring, man. These guys, that was a really, really good fight. I had scored that fight. I think I had scored it maybe like 7-5 or 8-4 for Mayweather. I can't remember. But I thought it was a real good close fight. And Cotto, man, Cotto was landing some good shots on Floyd. One thing I remember mentioning in my prediction video was that Cotto's timing. Cotto has real good timing. And I was saying that he's got a good jab, and he's got good timing with the jab, and that could give Mayweather some trouble because we've seen guys with good jabs, give Mayweather some trouble, with the Philly shell defense that he has. So, and it kind of showed throughout the middle rounds. He's able to time Mayweather, land his jab, and he busted Floyd up in that fight. Had his nose bleeding, and but Mayweather, he came back later in the fight and actually hurt Cotto pretty bad in that last round. But Cotto was able to survive, and I really thought that was a good fight, man. I do. Stormy B man, let's see what you got here. It says Friday. Hey man, yeah, I'll try to join you, man. It's right now I'm crazy busy, man. Crazy busy. Um, you know, got a lot of things going on outside of YouTube, but if I'm free, man, I'll be there for sure, man. And I'll text you to let you know for sure. Boxing Dialogue says, I thought Rigo versus Donaire was a good fight. Mm. I mean, it was good for me because excuse me, well, I laugh a little bit, but I was one of those channels, man. I was in the minority. I was making videos back then in 2013 when that fight took place. And I predicted um Donaire, I mean not Donaire. I predicted Rigo to win that fight. I was in the minority, man. I took a lot of shit for that on here. A lot of people were leaving comments on my videos. Back then, I used to like to do my videos like a month before a big fight. This way, I could have good interaction with people. You know, the video could get out there, people could watch it, people could leave comments, and then I could go back and forth with them if I decided to. But I had a lot of people, man. They were like, "Bro, you're fucking crazy. Like, Donaire he's a monster puncher, and he's top 3 pound for pound, and Rigo hasn't done shit." And I was telling him, I was like, "Man, I'm telling you, I mean, Rigo's gonna win this fight," and he wanted running away. For me, it wasn't too exciting. I mean, it was exciting because I was gonna come on my post fight and dog some of these dudes that came on my shit. But hey, if you thought that was entertaining, man, hey, like I said, everybody has their own taste. For me, it was just too one sided for it to be exciting for me. But I hear what you're saying, man. I hear you. Stormy B, man. Yeah, man. Like I said, if I'm free, bro, I'll join you, man. I just got a lot of projects going on right now, um, outside of YouTube, and it's been crazy around here, man. With not to go off topic, but this coronavirus, man, it's affecting my area here, man, in Sacramento. Um, Elk Grove district closed down their schools for the whole week, and um, I work for the district, so there's a lot going on around here, man. There's a whole lot going on around here. No Paul says you should let Ruben Guerrero borrow that shirt. I don't know, man. He might get pissed off, bro, that I didn't get a Ghost Guerrero shirt. Maybe that might be the next bet with somebody. But I'm trying to think of another fight that wasn't so entertaining. But no. Here's what I can do. Here's what I'm gonna do, and this might cause a little bit of an eruption here in the on the chat, but here's why I think it's important for us to not favor certain styles, because when fights happen between a clash of styles that contrast one another, um, I think it could cause controversy in in boxing. You know, one fight that stands out, really, really stands out to me, is Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, the first fight. That fight, again, very controversial because a lot of people they love Manny Pacquiao. They in a lot of people's eyes, the guy never lost a round. You know, I was in the minority. I predicted uh Timothy Bradley to win that fight. And if you don't believe me, you can go down my videos. I mean, I'm pretty sure that video is still up on YouTube. I did take some videos down that weren't like getting any more traffic, and but um, I do have some from back when I first started, and I think that's one of them. Honestly, I thought Bradley won that fight. I do. I think that again, people were such hardcore Manny Pacquiao fans, and they loved his style of fighting so much that no matter what he did in some of these rounds, they just gave it to him like, "Oh, you won that round, no doubt about it." I just don't think that was the case in that first fight. I actually think Bradley did a good job of, avoiding a lot of big left hands that night, and I think that he didn't get a lot of credit for the stuff that he was doing. in there. Um, there was a part of that fight. I want to say it was like in the later rounds, maybe like round 9 or 10. But Lampley and Max Kellerman, I mean, these guys, they were doing like the most that night on the commentary. I mean, they were just going over the top with Pacquiao. And there was a part in one of those rounds where Bradley, I think he literally landed like 8 or 9 punches cleanly on Pacquiao. And I mean, they weren't the hardest punches. We know Bradley wasn't the most devastating puncher, and definitely didn't have the kind of power that Pacquiao had. But a clean punch is a clean punch, man. That's what the rules say. So there was. I mean, I'm telling you, he landed about 8 or 9 clean punches on Pacquiao, and this is all I heard. Don't worry, it didn't freeze. But literally, that's all I heard. Like it was dead silent. It was like dead air on the pay-per-view while Bradley's landing punches on Pacquiao. And I mean, we all know that HBO had an agenda. Like that's not even a question here. But the point I'm making is that I think that people they when they favor a certain style, they're gonna look for anything to um give a guy a round. And I just don't think that that's right, man. I just don't. I'm not that type of fight fan, man, to do stuff like that. Like I said, I kind of grew up out of that, favoring a certain style, and because I just feel like it's just not honest here, man. And I want to try to be as honest as possible with you guys. I feel like that's just the best way to go. I feel, and I just want to know, man, for some of you, like, what style do you not appreciate? Or are you like me and you appreciate all styles? I've already put it out there, a little disclaimer that I never liked the way that Vladimir Klitschko fought. It's just that was just terrible to me. Terrible. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't says good point. Hey, thanks, man. You know what I'm talking about with HBO. Bradley versus Marquez was a good fight too. Yeah, man, that was a good fight. That was a good fight. Um, and again, the thing with Marquez, man, he never got support, man. Not like the way not like the way that this guy does. And he's got better. To me, he's got better wins than Canelo. I mean that Pacquiao knockout. I mean, I don't know what fight you could look at where Canelo is a win from him is better. He wasn't says HB no. You know what's funny? Now that they're gone, I do kind of miss not so much the commentary, but just like the music, and the production that they put in. I was pretty, I thought some of it was pretty cool, man. But for me, the music, like when you hear the little horns, I kind of miss that, man, when it comes to HBO. But Lampley, Lampley started to get on my nerves, man. I want to say probably like, I don't know, man, like mid to late 2000s is when I started to notice, like, man, this guy is really, really biased, man. Like when I was a teenager, it didn't really bother me too much, but it got to the point where, like, when I would watch fights, depending on who's fighting, I would just turn the damn volume off. I would literally just put the fight on mute, boop, and I would just watch it like that. Or if I had a party here, a fight party, like, I wouldn't even turn it up. I mean, everybody's being loud anyway, and I would always be like, well, I don't give a damn what these guys say anyway, because they're just gonna tell you what they want you to see, So Tyson Fury, excluding his last fight, can pretty much is boring to watch. I can see why you say that. I can see why you say that. I mean, for a big guy, like him, You know, to fight the way he fights. I think that really does rub a lot of fight fans the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? But I get what you're saying. You know, he wasn't says I was the only one in the room every time Pac versus Marquez fought that was going for El Dinamita. Real talk. My guy's always here for Pac, fanboy. Hey man, I was right there with you, man. And every time those fights ended, I'm talking about at least from the second one, because I mean you can make a case for Pacquiao in the first fight, but man, to me there's no doubt about it. The second fight and the third fight, there's no fucking doubt he won those fights, man. No doubt. I remember having some shouting matches with guys after the second and third fight. I was like, man, this is just ridiculous, man. There's no way that this guy won this fight, man. It was crazy, man. I know you feel my pain, E. Woodson. I know you do, man. But yeah, man. I really think that Marquez, if we're talking about Marquez here, I really think that that's something that has held him back from being so popular, is because I'm just gonna say it, man. A lot of Mexican boxing fans don't appreciate his style because they think it's a coward style. You know, I'm not saying all Mexican fight fans, but a lot of them do, man. I'm just being honest, at least in my experience, when it comes to when I go, because I've gone to several different people's houses to watch fights, because people call me up because they know I love boxing and they know I'll come and I'll drop $10 on the fight, and I'll bring beer and stuff, and and I'm always well behaved. I don't start drama at people's houses, so I get invited to a lot of fight parties, and every time I go, man, it's always somebody, man. That's you know how it is, man. But let's see, we got another comment here. All styles are good. I appreciate the old fights, just brawls and bloody. I remember some of my favorites are Chavez versus Roger and Taylor. You talking about Roger Mayweather, I think, yeah. Chavez just had that chin to be hit and go in and get it. That's the one thing that a lot of guys have said about Chavez, is that, man, his chin is just unbelievable, man. He was says the first fight was the one for me because with the knockdowns, Marquez was making Pac look one dimensional in there because he was doing more and Pac was doing the same thing over, and yep. I agree with you 100%, man. But yeah, man, I mean, I've heard it at the fight parties, man, where you know, you get the guys, "Oh, Marquez, he's a pussy. He won't stand right there with Pacquiao, and and his style is boring, and I mean, that's terrible to me, man, to hear that from fans. And that's another reason why I stopped favoring that style, because I didn't like saying those terms like this guy's running or this guy's scared or things like that. But to address more of this comment here, um, I want to say probably about 8 years ago or so, I ran into a local fighter from back in the day, Tony the Tiger Lopez from Sacramento, and he told me when he fought Chavez that he goes, I remember everybody was saying how hard this guy. He goes, man, this is the exact same words. This motherfucker couldn't hit for shit, bro. He's like, but man, he could take a punch. Just about everybody says that about him. Hey, there he is. 92 AKU. It is definitely getting funky, man. Every time I'm here, man. But hey, check it out, bro. You see it? I'm just waiting on one more guy, man, at the show, and that's it. But hey, I'm a man of my word, bro. I said I would do it if he beat Kovalev. He beat Kovalev, so hey, man, it's here. Hey, man, you can't say that I'm not a man of my word, man. You can't say that. Says, bro, the first fight was in '04. Why do you think the rematch wasn't until? Yeah, Freddie Roach knew it exactly, bro. You know how many times I've had to explain that to people, man. the man waited 4 years to get into the ring for the rematch. And then I think he waited another 3, right? For the second one or the third one. So, bro, bro, trust me, I understand what you mean, man. I understand completely. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Hey, I do what I gotta do, man. You know, my word is gold here on this channel. All right, my word is gold. Boxing Dialogue says, yeah, Pacquiao is basically a featherweight Deontay Wilder. He improved his boxing skills a lot after the Morales loss. I mean, yeah, he did improve somewhat, but defensively, I think is where he kind of remained the same. You know, um, and anybody that could capitalize on his mistakes, you know, made him look bad. You know, that's just the way I see it. You know, a lot of Mexicans I've known didn't like De La Hoya. I used to work with Ray Lovato Jr. He fought Trinidad. Boxing talk was cool. That's cool, man. Yeah. No, I completely understand that too. There was a lot of guys that didn't like De La Hoya. You know what's funny is my grandfather he's one of the guys that really got me interested in boxing. Taught me a lot about all the old dudes and stuff. You know, he's a big Joe Louis fan, big fan of Sugar Ray Robinson. You know, he always told me every time I talk about Sugar Ray, he was the best pound for pound. You know, that's where the term came from, was for Sugar Ray. You know, he was a big fan of the original Golden Boy, was Art Aragon. You know, check him out if you have time, A-Rod. But he was the original Golden Boy, and that's why he liked De La Hoya, because of, you know, he took the Golden Boy name, but not only that, but he thought he was a hell of a fighter. You know, I thought De La Hoya was a hell of a fighter too. I just, you know, I wasn't a big fan of his, like some of the family members that I had, because I just felt like some of the close fights that he had, he didn't want to give a rematch. You know, like Whitaker, I felt like that should have been a rematch there. I felt like he should have gave a rematch to Ike Corte. You know, I felt Corte won that fight, but it never happened. You know, there's just a lot of things that De La Hoya did that I didn't like when Rob Felix Sturm, when De La Hoya came in hella out of shape and he got beat up that night and he got that gift decision. You know, I didn't like stuff like that, man, and I still don't like that. And I'm gonna, every time that happens, you're gonna see me come on here and complain about it. Whether he's Mexican or not, a Latino fighter or not, you know, I'm gonna come on here. I'm gonna say that was BS. You know, that's just the way I am on this channel, man. I know a lot of people don't like it, and honestly, I think that's why I'm not like some of these big channels. Like, I don't have all the subs because, you know, I don't play to people's emotions, man. I don't massage egos. I don't do things like that. You know, I call what I see here. You know what I'm saying? I call what I see here, and you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm sorry, but you know, it's just boxing. You know what I'm saying? Man, this cough, man, it just won't go away, man. Oscar's best win was IQ. I mean, the fight was close, but I feel like it was a clear win for Corte. You know, I felt like it was close enough for them to at least do it again. It was close enough for Oscar to say, you know what, hey, you hey, you put up a hell of a fight, man. Let's fight again. But for some reason, he didn't want that smoke again, man, and I didn't like that. I feel like he should have given Corte a rematch, man. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, you know, like I said here at the beginning of this video, man, I made it a point to not favor certain styles, because I feel like I said, I feel like it affects the way that you score fights. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect and that I score every fight perfectly, but what I try to do is I try to you know, I try to score the fights the way that it's supposed to be scored. Like, I go by the criteria, you know. Now I know everybody has their own opinion on, you know, what they think is, you know, how they should score defense and clean punching and aggressiveness and ring generalship, but those are the things that I try to look at when I'm scoring a fight. I don't just look for, well, this guy's coming forward, and I like guys that come forward, so I'm giving him around, or the other way around. This guy boxes, so he moved around the ring this time, and this round I'm giving him the round. Like I don't do stuff like that, man. A-Rod says I'll check it out. Look up that fight with Trinidad and Ray Lovato. I think they stopped the fight too soon. It's always been talked about. Okay, hey, I'm gonna check it out then. Definitely check it out for sure. I was a big Trinidad fan back in the day too, man. So I'm gonna definitely check that out and I get back to you on that, A-Rod, for sure. 92 AQ says, how do I feel about the excuses about the Wilder costume? Well, I mean, that's kind of off topic, you know. But I'll just answer real quickly. I don't buy that excuse at all. I don't. I don't see how the costume could have cost him the fight, but that's not the topic here, bro. All right. Let's see. Ray also fought Roger Mayweather. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check him out for sure, man. And if it's as controversial as he says, I might just do a video on it, But yeah, man, I think that we should definitely try to, open up our minds, expand our minds on certain styles of boxing, and like I said, I see guys, say things in the comment section of videos and complain about one guy's style or the other, or so I was hoping that maybe somebody might want to join me on this live stream, but I don't think that's going to happen. I've already been on almost an hour now, and no one's came on. So maybe we could continue this talk another time. Let's see here. 92 AQ says Miguel Vasquez has the word. He's definitely got an awkward style. Yes, Miguel Vasquez for sure. Very awkward to get in there and fight him, man. That's for sure. Trinidad was a beast, but I don't like him for what he did to my guy Fernando. If you have time, Boxing Dollar, I don't know if you've already seen it, but I did a review on that fight because the 20-year anniversary, I think, just passed last year. So check that out, man. I did talk about that fight and what it meant for me and stuff like that. That was a big fight, man, because I was a Trinidad fan, and I'm a Mexican, and of course they thought he robbed Oscar when they fought. So when he fought Fernando, they all jumped on the Vargas bandwagon, and hey, my guy won again. So I was talking some shit. Around these days, Earl Spence style is favorite. I don't know if I would say that. There's a lot of guys that don't like Earl Spence, man. But there's a lot of guys that do, I think Spence is a very well-rounded fighter, man. I think that Mikey Garcia fight showed me a lot. I know a lot of people will say, well, he was supposed to knock Garcia out, but I think that the way that he beat him and the way that he used his jab and his footwork to control Mikey, I thought it was beautiful, man. I really did. And I picked Garcia to win. I did. I wasn't making videos at the time that the fight happened, but I thought that it was one of those things where Mikey and them thought that they could expose something, on Spence, and that's why they took the fight. But I was absolutely wrong on that. And hey, it is what it is, man. You can't get them all right, But yeah, maybe I could get a few other channels to come on here next time I talk about this topic, and it could be a much better conversation. Will just be me by myself talking, But I do appreciate you guys giving me your opinions on here. I like all styles because I appreciate boxing. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you. Guys who clinch a lot are the worst to. That's why I made that disclaimer, man, at the beginning of this live show, where I said, I know that the title says I love all styles, but to me, that clinch, the Klitschko style of just hitting, grab, hitting clinch, hitting lay on the guy all night long. To me, that's a style that shouldn't have been allowed. He shouldn't have been allowed to do that. Over and over again. Like at some point, you have to penalize a guy for that kind of holding, especially holding just to weaken your opponent. Like I said, I know guys do clinch. When guys get hit, they get buzzed, and then they're like, oh shit, I'm hurt. Like I need to grab this guy and try to stop him from hitting me and try to clear the cobwebs. Like I understand that, but to just hit a guy and then grab him, hit a guy with a 1-2 and then lean on their back, like that to me, that shouldn't be allowed, man. I don't think it should be allowed. Spence prepared well for that fight. He was ready for Mikey. Yeah. That showed me a lot, man. Yeah, I agree too, man. The Spence Garcia fight showed me a lot about Spence, man. A lot of people were saying he was just a one-dimensional guy at that time. He showed he could go in there and box and use his jab and use good footwork to nullify whatever Mikey Garcia was going to do that night. I thought it was a real good fight. Duran was good at fighting out of the clinch. Damn right he was, man. And there are certain guys who don't allow guys to grab them, and I think that's something that is kind of getting lost in today's boxing is not accepting a clinch when a guy wants to come in and clinch, Push that motherfucker off, like get your damn hands off me, man. Let's fight, or if you see him coming in and just try to let a few go, like there's things you can do to stop a guy from grabbing you so much, but you don't see it as often in boxing these days. But yeah, hopefully next time I could get a hold of a couple of dudes here and we could talk more about this. I feel like I went over a good amount of styles and fights where things happen that kind of relate to the topic. But I think it would be a much better discussion with not just me on here by myself, but a few people could join in, and anybody can join, man. As long as you keep it to the topic, you're respectful. Anybody's welcome here on my platform, man. If you want to come on and talk, I throw the link out there. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this feed here. I'm gonna read this comment. Yeah, that's an art too. Shifting body weight and different maneuvering. Yeah, I agree, man. 100%. The one I was like, what the fuck is Ruiz versus Joshua 2? One of the times he just straight jumped into yeah. That's why, and that's why I disagreed with that narrative that was going around after the fight about this masterclass. Like that was not a masterclass of boxing by Joshua. He did what he had to do to get the win. And Ruiz didn't help his case either, but that was not a masterclass, dude. A lot of those rounds, Joshua didn't do much, but just like you said, like jump in and grab him and hold him, But that's another topic, man. And I've already talked about that on the post fight. But yeah, I agree that was not a great masterclass performance, like a lot of guys were saying, but. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and end this thing now. I got about an hour and a half or so before I go on D-Style show. I know my boy Rob Boxing invited me on his channel, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit him up and see if I can hop on whatever he's doing, whatever project. I know a couple of you guys subscribe to Rob Boxing, so jump over there, see if what he's doing. And I might be there, man. And I'll definitely be on D-Style show tonight. Make sure you guys are there. We're going to have Leave It in the Ring, also known as 97 Rough. That's an OG, man. He goes way back. He left YouTube for a little bit, but I have been subscribed to him for a really long time, man. And I'm glad to see him back. And I'm glad to be doing a show with him tonight. So make sure you guys are there tonight. Make sure you jab the like button here. If you're new and you come across this, subscribe. But this is G Funk, man, and I'm out. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a good one. I'll see you a little bit later, man.